Got
We're
you.
good.
Perfect. I want to do a stock restoration on my 88. Any suggestions?
Well,
Um,
where are
you're
you
more the
located?
restore guy.
Yeah, I'll go with that. What state are you in? Because if you're up where I am, near the Rust Belt, good luck. If you're out west or down south, that's in your favor.
Yeah, we just embrace rust.
Yeah.
Work around it. Well, there's a few more people trickling in here. How's it going, guys?
Colorado. All right, Sam, you're in luck because there are a lot of Toyota enthusiasts and trucks out in Colorado, so parts shouldn't be a problem out there. You got a solid frame, so you're already ahead of anybody I know around here. Um, if it's interior stuff you need, luckily most of that stuff you can still find used here and there. A lot of it's, I mean, probably the majority of it's discontinued by Toyota, with the exception of like some seals and trims and window trims and stuff like that. But like what exactly is it that you're looking for? But yeah, you've got a solid frame, so you got a good foundation.
So I don't know if you know about this, but I was in the Toyota dealership the other day, and they're telling me about a new program that Toyota is rolling out for specifically for restoring old trucks and Supras and stuff like this, where you can go and buy like pretty much any part off of these old vehicles, specifically or straight from Toyota. But you need to, if they have enough requests for that specific part, I guess is how it works.
Okay.
So if enough people are going and looking for this specific part, they'll start making it again. Depending on I don't know. I thought that was something that was kind of neat when I went into the dealership last week and they were telling me about that. But
that's actually encouraging, because I always figured
so
they only cared about selling new stuff. I didn't know they cared that much about us.
So if like dashes are really bad in the old ones and enough people go in and ask for them, they'll start making them again.
That'd be awesome.
But they need to have X amount of demand to actually roll out with it. But yeah, that Toyota's starting to care a bit about the restoration community.
That's good. That's good. Unfortunately, go ahead.
I said, other than that, there's a million people with part outs too that'll help you put your interior together.
That's your best luck. But
Yeah.
as far as the bed being trashed, that's pretty much all the Toyota trucks. From that generation anyways, because they use the two-piece bed design where the seam along the side is right where all the rust starts, and it starts from the inside out. They have those removable panels on the inside, and just dirt and crap, moisture builds up back there and eats them from the inside out. So once there's a rust bubble, it's only going to get worse. Finding a clean bed is possible, but very tough. I would actually look around for a fiberglass bed if it's something that you're going to drive in the winter especially. I've had a couple of those, and you can actually buy a fiberglass bed brand new. The place is up in Canada, up in your way. I believe it's toyotafiberglass.com that sells them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that's where my Thunders are from.
Yeah, yep. And they sell entire beds, which I think they're over $2,000, but they actually sell just the bed sides too.
I think they're like $2,500 Canadian. So
okay.
probably about $2,000 US.
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
Obviously, the downfall is getting the shipping cost figured out.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't hurt. I mean, you're close enough to regions where there are still good beds and parts left, so it wouldn't hurt to hop on, Facebook Marketplace and just search around, expand your search, to wherever you feel good driving to pick one up. But you'd have better luck in Colorado than you would in Ohio, that's for sure.
Better luck than here too. I've never seen a second gen with a good bed. I don't ever. Pretty much everyone who has a second gen, they now have either loggers boxes or flat decks on them.
Mm-hmm.
Even the third generation trucks like mine is getting pretty hard to find decent beds for.
Yeah, and those don't even have the rust problems. Well, the main rust problems.
Don't. They're not the two piece. But yeah, they still rot out around the fenders, and then once it starts, and if you don't take care of it, it just takes off and it's gone.
Yeah. Sam, building your own, that's a good option too. Especially if you're going to do like a flatbed. If you don't want it to look OEM, I mean, flatbeds, they look pretty tough, especially for something you're going to drive off road. that's a good option as well. Let's see here. I'm going to give this one to you, Clinton. You're the third gen expert. What's your opinion on third gens?
I mean, I love them. Third gens, I've found, have been, or at least around here, seem to be the cheapest Toyota pickup you can buy if it's in, or if you're comparing it to other ones in the same kind of shape, if that makes sense.
It does.
Because you can find a clean third gen and a clean second gen, and from what I found, the second gens are always worth way more money. I don't know why. Maybe because I might be thinking the sellout axle ones, but still, 85s are worth slamming doors.
That's my kids.
Okay.
They found me. Get out of here, you guys.
And I think third gens might just be way more common too, which might have something to do with it. You just see a lot more of, at least here. I don't know. I can't speak for everywhere. But because of that, most of everyone in like my group of friends who I go wheeling with, we all use third gens pretty much. There's a couple of it's a second gen and a first gen in there, but pretty much all third gen pickups.
I gotta agree. The second gen tax has just been rising like exponentially over the last 5 or so years. Third gens are still in that sweet spot where there's a lot more around still. Parts are cheaper, and they're not going to Barrett Jackson and fetching $20,000+.
I don't know if it's the same there, but here, like third gen or Toyota pickups seem to be passing first gen Tacomas in pricing. It's like people seem to be asking more for the pickups than the Tacomas now, and I don't know if that's because like 99% of the Tacomas have rotten frames, whereas a lot of the pickups are fine. But yeah, it's something I've noticed also.
Yeah. Well, you guys up in Canada, when they had the frame problems with the early 2000s, late 90s, they actually replaced the frame on those trucks, didn't they?
They still do.
Okay.
Yep.
Here in the U.S., they bought the entire truck back for 1.5 times Blue Book, but you lost your truck. You didn't get the option to keep it.
Yeah, no. If there's like any hole in your frame, even if it's in like a cab mount or something, if the truck is less than 15 years old, they replace the frame.
That's awesome.
And it comes with brand new leaf springs, brand new A-arms, and all the bushings. Like pretty much everything framed down is brand new.
Yeah.
Except they just bolt on the axles, drop the cab on, and it's good. Brand new brake lines, fuel lines, everything too. So you're pretty much winning the Toyota lottery if you have a rotten frame and it qualifies. But yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I wish they did something like that for the older trucks because nice frames are far and few between, at least in this area and up there too, I'm sure.
Yeah. For pickups, Tacomas, everything, they're hard to find.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, that Tundra, the 2000 Tundra that I have, that I pulled the 2UZ from, it had the worst frame I've ever seen in a Toyota. Like all the way from the back, all the way up front, just Swiss cheese.
Nice.
Normally it's just the back half I found, but yeah, this is all of it, every side of the frame, front to back. There's holes on the top of the frame rail by the shock or strut tower. It was just crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're on the topic of frames anyways.
Yeah. Frames never a good thing to talk about. It's a sad story for Toyota frames.
It's a sad story, but it's a real problem that everyone has to deal with.
Yep. That's the Achilles heel of the Toyota, man. They're great trucks. It really is. Well, that and the beds we talked about.
Yeah. My truck, my 89, has a fantastic frame. I don't know why it's so much better than every other one I've ever seen. Like you can hit it with a hammer literally everywhere. It won't break through at all. It had rust on the gas tank cross member, just a little bit, but I cut that out and replaced it, and everything else seems to be just perfect on it. So
nice.
And I don't know if that's because I'm assuming that truck must have been garage kept for a long time or a lot of its life, just because the body itself was also really clean when I got it. But yeah. I don't know.
Looking at some questions here. Zeke, he's asking if a first generation 4Runner top will fit on an 88 pickup. The dimensions are pretty close. Well, it depends on one of two things. Is your 88 pickup a standard cab or an extra cab?
Yeah, I've seen it before. I've seen people with 4Runner tops on pickups.
It looks really good, but it does involve some little bit of custom work up where the front meets the back of the cab. But standard cabs have a 4-degree cab angle, and an extra cab actually is a little bit more sloped. It's a 10-degree cab angle. And they actually have a taller rear window too. It's like 2 inches taller because that back slope is so much bigger. So if I think the 4Runner cap is more of a straight up and down angle, so it would look really goofy on an extended cab or an extra cab truck. So it takes some custom work, but it would look cool. It looked really period correct. There are actually, or were actually, aftermarket cap companies that made a 4Runner style aftermarket cap that was like a direct fit onto the trucks. But I think those are long discontinued. I see them once in a while though. They're cool.
Mm-hmm. You get a lot of second gen owners in your.
Yeah, I guess we know whose traffic is here. Here we got another question. Our thoughts on merging an 80 Toyota 4x4 to an 87 dually 2-wheel drive? Cut the frame or swap parts? That's a first. I haven't come across that question before. I think it'd be pretty cool, but in one way, you're taking like one of the most awesome 4x4s, the first gen 4x4s, and you're making it,
IFS dually.
IFS dually, yeah. So I mean, maybe I'd do it if like the frame was destroyed on the 4x4 or something like that. But otherwise, man, it would hurt me to cut up that beautiful truck, and merge it with the cab. Although it could look really cool if you found a way to like find some dually fenders from some other truck and put them on like the 80 bed and make it look almost like OEM. That could look really cool.
That would look cool.
But as far as parts, I'm not a first gen expert. I actually have never even owned one. So as far as what parts could swap, I can't help you too much there. It's probably got the 20R, I would guess. So and then you're getting into motor swaps and wiring swaps, and it'd be a big project. I'd say unless the frame on the 4x4 was destroyed, I probably wouldn't attempt it, but that's just me. I mean,
yeah, it doesn't sound worth it for what it is. Unless the frame's gone, which it might be. The 2 first-gen 4Runners pickups we've had, which were only parts vehicles, they were just completely rotten.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything. I don't know. I know one person who's got a good frame on a first-gen pickup. That's about it. But no frame, great shape. Then keep the frame.
Yep.
20R, nice. Also, both the first-gen 4 pickups that we had for parts vehicles, somebody already swapped 22REs in them too. So,
which, from what I gather, you're not a huge fan of the 22RE, are you? You're more of a. I don't know. I heard you talking some trash in a couple of your videos there. just because you guys blow them up a lot.
my very first Toyota pickup was a 91. It had a 22RE. I loved it, but with the 33-inch tires, it was so gutless. And I think it must have been stock gears at that point. I was a teenager. I didn't know anything about gears or whatever. So yeah, I just bought it. It had big tires. Well, to me, 33s on a stock Toyota pickup when I was 16, 17 years old was big tires.
Yeah.
Very different now. But yeah, I found on the highway it could not go the speed limit, like downhill.
Yeah, they are gutless. I'll give you that.
It was perfect. Like, okay, so I didn't have to do anything for maintenance on this truck except for I had to do a wheel bearing once. In the 2 years I owned it. And then I owned several GMs after that. I sold it and had all 3 of them have major engine issues. Like shortly after buying each and every one of them. And then I was like, hey, I'm totally done with domestics. I am going back to Toyota, and just haven't looked back since. But yeah, that 22RE is awesome. The 85 that my brother's truck had, that 22RE was awesome until he didn't put oil in it or ran it out of oil.
and then he put syrup in it. Right? Or you guys put the syrup in that one?
No, then we swapped that motor.
For
a 22R, and then we took the intake and the RE stuff over and moved it onto the 22R head, and then it was a 22RE.
Okay.
Ran that engine for a week. It started knocking. And this wasn't no fault to us. It was just a bad used motor. Because it ran perfect for that week until it didn't. And then since it was knocking, we decided to put maple syrup in it and give it a good send off.
Well, I can understand your frustration after a week of. There's nothing worth like swapping a motor in and having it knock in a week.
Having it last a week.
That
and
sucks.
then my brother who owned the 85 was like, "Hey, I'm done with 22REs. They're gutless. And I want something like the 3.4, which is what we put in it, just because he wanted it to be smooth and reliable, and because 3.4s they're just great motors."
Yeah.
I mean, people say the same about the 22RE, but
yeah, they say they take a beating, but I've always avoided the 3-liter V6 just because they're just like the worst, you know. But then now I've seen from your videos how simple it is to swap that out for a 3.4, and I would not have a problem buying a V6 now.
I'm in no way convinced the 3-liter is worse than the 22RE.
Yeah. Well,
we've blown up one 3-liter.
Okay.
Ever, and like 3 or 4 22REs on my channel.
There you go.
And all the 3-liters are about 500,000 kilometers too. So I don't know. I can't say any one is better than the other. They're both motors that are 30 plus years old. Nothing is great.
Yeah. Well, isn't it like the EGR crossover? If you do something like that on the 3-liter, it helps the engine like live tremendously.
I've heard.
Okay.
But like as I said, my motor was at like 450,000 kilometers when I did the 3.4 swap on original motor. Never had any head gasket issues. Never had any issues. My 3-liter was a perfectly healthy motor when I ditched it. Corey's, I think, was 425 when he did blow his head gasket. But still, 425,000 kilometers is plenty to a head gasket.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so I don't I'm not convinced either way. Just from my personal experience with them, they both have issues. Go 3.4 or 2RZ or 3RZ or 2UZ.
There you go. Let's see, I'm reading down some questions here. Let's see, here saying Henderson also has an 85 extra cab 4x4. That's what I like to hear. That's my truck right there. You're in Louisiana, so at least you don't have rust issues like most of the people do. Let's see what we got. Catching up here. Yeah, I agree. 78 to 85 are all going to go up in value, and even all the way up to 88 for the trucks, 89 for the 4Runners. But you watch the third gens; they're going to be next. You know, they're coming on 20 plus years old, and that's going to be the next thing that goes up. So really, if you're doing it for the investment, go buy some second-gen 4Runners and third-gen pickups, some nice ones, and just sit on those for about 5 years, and I bet you'll see a return on it.
20 plus, isn't it 30?
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
my 89, yeah, 30, 31.
Math. Let's see, what else we got
21,
here?
it's 32.
Group 2 Matrix. All right, he's got an 88 22 RE pickup truck. Runs great, but when it heats up to operating temperature, it revs high at a complete stop. Tap the gas in neutral, it drops to normal RPMs. Being that it's when it heats up, Now, when you say it revs high, is it bouncing like a bouncing idle up and high, or is it just a constant high rev? Because if it's bouncing up and high, I think that might have something to do with maybe air in the coolant system, being that it's when it heats up, and air in the coolant system can cause that fluctuating idle. Maybe worth trying to burp out the system and see if there's any air bubbles in there. Unless Clinton's got any advice on that one.
You're the 22R guy.
Actually, I'm not.
No?
My truck's got a 22R, and I had one truck with a 22RE, but it came with a blown head gasket. And I had another one that had an early 22R, and they slapped 22RE intake manifold and electronics on it, and it was like a basket case.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I still have that in my garage. I want to tear it apart and see
Hmm.
exactly what they did and what were they thinking. Because I don't even think the ports match up on that. One's square and one is round, I believe. I think the early ones are round and the later ones are square.
Yeah, it depends on the year of 22R. Um, we put because when we put the 22RE intake manifold and all the electronics and stuff onto, um, yeah, when we did that, I think it was an 89 22R. So somebody like factory or specifically ordered that in that year, anyways, because they didn't. Most of them were 22REs by that
Yeah, I
point.
never heard of
But
that.
yeah, the ports and everything were the exact same in the later years than they were, or compared to the earlier years. It's the one where it's easier to do that
Yeah,
to, anyways.
it's the one with the taller deck height, the laser block. They're
Yeah,
the ones that have the square ports, I believe, and then the
yeah,
earlier 84 and earlier, or whatever, mid 84 and earlier, they've got
yeah.
the rounder ports.
And there's a port for, I think it's the knock sensor that you have to I have to had to add on to it. I don't
Okay.
remember. But EFI needed that.
Let's see here. Reading down the questions here. Goose Anonymous, he's got two 82s up your way, and oh, let's see, a hole the size of a nickel, if even that. That's pretty good. No scaling in the frame. That's nice. No patches. Yeah, there's no frames like that around here. Let's see. Loving all the Toyota content. We are going to keep it up. Caden T. Yeah, shoot, but you got any time to ask a question. Here it is down here. Are you familiar in the 92 99 Mitsubishi Montero?
No.
I'm sorry. No, I don't. But are those like the boxy ones with the wagon type doors on the back? If so, I had a friend that had one, and they were pretty tough machines. I'll tell you that. He definitely drove it through the woods a lot. Bone stock. The old Dodge Power Wagons. Again, I've got nothing to say about that. No experience with those.
Me neither.
Except that they're pretty cool, but yeah. South Carolina. Yes, you are lucky to live in South Carolina. You've probably got a lot of nice parts and nice Toyota beds down your way. Let's see. 322,000, no rust. It's a 92. That's impressive. Again, it's your grandfather, so I'm sure he takes good care of it, right? I know my grandpa, he takes good care of his stuff, so I guess that's like a generational thing. I don't know. Let's see. Steady rev on the RPMs for the 22RE that gets warm. That's a good one, man. I don't know. I don't even think it'd be a vacuum leak if it's a steady rev. That's a good question. I don't think I know enough on that one to give you a solid answer. So sorry about that, but if I think of something, I'll let you know. Let's see. We got a lot of fans talking about the 22RE, but no one's had any questions on the 3.0 V6 yet.
Weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of earlier Toyota fans here. And what did the 3-liter come out? 88?
Yeah, no, actually, was it 7 or 8? I think it was 87.
I thought it was 8, but I couldn't be mistaken.
Maybe it was, yeah.
It could also be different in Canada.
Oh, you're right, because they had the turbo, and then the V6 replaced the turbo. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Here's a lift question. 85 4Runner with OME 2-inch lift. Could you change over to a high steer with that low of a lift? I was going to say, yeah, everywhere you see require at least a 3-inch lift, and I would say don't do it because you're going to hit your, I think you hit the bottom of the oil pan if you're not high enough up. So, yeah, you're going to need more of a lift. I got a 4-inch lift when I did my high steer conversion, and if I was more than an inch lower, I might be kind of nervous that when I am doing, flexing it out and articulating, that it might contact the oil pan.
So I've got my steering box clocked and moved for that specific reason. I'm running Trail Gears 3-inch leaf bearings, but I've removed 2 of the leaves. And not only that, if you look at my SAS, my hanger is notched right up under the body mount on the very front. So it's like 2 inches higher than what people normally do, just to keep my truck lower. So really, there's not much room in there. But yes, you can run high steer if you move your steering box to work with it. I also run a flat Pitman arm to keep everything tight. But
Yeah, actually, did you
yeah,
say you had a 80? Is that an 85 Forerunner? Where is that? Yeah, if you've got an 85 Forerunner, you have the push pull type steering.
yeah, and you
Um,
need a box anyways.
yeah, you need an IFS box anyways, so you could. That's a good opportunity to push it up toward the fire, or not the firewall, toward the
The
front
rad sport.
support. Yeah, as far as you can. I mean, you might want to get like within a quarter inch, and then weld it to the bracket to your frame there, and that'll give you some extra room.
Some
And
people even cut out the rad sport and push it in.
there you go. Yeah.
I've seen that before too. But whatever you got to do to make it work, it's possible.
Anything is possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, then like you said, once you get in there and you kind of see what you're working with, then you can decide on the angle of your arm, whether it be flat or angled or whichever one.
I like the flat. It looks nice and tidy in there.
Yeah.
Because it's got like this much clearance under the frame rail. It's just
Nice.
perfectly fits underneath it, tucked out of the way.
Okay, here's a question about we got an 82 dually, a very rotted out bed, and you can't find any boxes in Canada, of course. So, do we know any box that would fit halfway decent on a short box?
Where are all these dualies coming from?
I know, right? Especially all these first gen trucks up there in Canada. So, I know I'm trying to think what it is here. The 84 to 88 and the 89 to 95 beds are the same dimensions. The previous generation, 83 and earlier, they're a little bit smaller, so I don't think you could easily swap a later bed onto it without, maybe relocating some mounts or anything like that. Even then, the second gen bed would look really goofy on a first gen truck because the fenders are squared off. You might want to look around though. Maybe, I don't know if there's any Ford Rangers up there in Canada. They've got a bed that might work, and it has the rounded arch, kind of the same. Maybe even like you got a dually though. Yeah.
That's the tricky one.
Yeah, I guess that's right. I was gonna say the Ranger Splash. Did you guys have those up there with the step side beds on them? It'd be like early '90s or something like that. They had like these crazy graphics on them. Yeah, they had a short step side bed on them, and I've seen those on Toyota trucks before, and they look really good.
Yeah, I don't know, but then everyone's gonna think you're driving a Ranger from the back.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. No, that's the sad thing about these trucks is that the beds are they're drying up, man. They're far and few between.
I think Lager's boxes look great, though. I think they're a great alternative to a bed if you want to have bedside still.
Yeah,
but
it looked cool on dually too.
Yep, cool on dually too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So let's see what else we got here. All right, we are caught up on questions.
Perfect.
Oh wait, one more. Mitsubishi Montero again. The frames are built the same way as the Forerunners. Okay, so they're a fully boxed frame. I wonder if they have the same rust issues as the trucks do. His has a crack on the frame on both sides above the rear axles. All right.
I think that answers your question.
Yep. we feel your pain.
Yeah.
Do I have any 84 to 88 parts? I should make a video and just take you guys into my basement sometime, and you'll probably hate me, but I hoard these parts because, as we're talking about, they're drying up. So
yeah.
I stock a lot of parts. Unfortunately, beds and frames is what I need and what I don't have. So that's the.
I just recently started an eBay account to start selling all the stuff that I'm hoarding that I have no reason to actually hoard. But
let's see. Caden T, your best bet as far as fixing a cracked frame. If it's cracked, chances are it's going to look worse once you get into it. The crack is just on the surface. So you're going to need to plan on cutting out a good section of the frame, and you're going to have to weld in new metal. A lot of people will just weld on some channel over the rust, And while that is a good Band-Aid, it's not a permanent fix. The rust will continue inside and just expand either, in one or two directions past the channel that you welded over the frame. I've seen it happen a lot. And then by that time, it's not even worth messing with the frame anymore. It's toast. Well, you have any done a frame repair, Clinton?
Yeah, my brother's 85 cracked in half. We found a third gen pickup with a good frame and back halved it. So we cut the back half off the third gen and the back half off the second gen and notched them together. They got plates or like a 2x4 tube steel on the inside that the frame rail slid over. We drilled out a bunch of holes in the frames and welded them all in so that stayed together, welded it together, and then fish plated the outside.
All right. Well, that's not
the back half of the 85 frame was not savable. It was just completely gone. And it was made worse by poor repairs in the past. So
yeah, that's same thing with a lot of the ones I've had. They repair them wrong, and it just like multiplies the problem instead of correcting it.
So this one was easiest, just to find a whole other frame and back half it, because we still wanted to keep the 85 of the solid axle stuff and whatnot. We contemplated just moving the whole thing over onto a different chassis and doing a solid axle swap on this other chassis, but my brother didn't want to go that route, so made it work.
Let's see. Putting a 4BT Cummins in the 85. I don't know. I guess it'd be cool, but for what it would cost, and I'm sure there's some custom work involved there. I mean, for me, it'd just be easier to swap another 22R in my 85. That's probably what I'll do once mine gets tired. Plus, I know nothing about diesels.
4BTs cost a lot of money, and they're just not really worth it, at least anymore. I don't think there's so many other options out there. My buddy Skyler is currently putting a TDI in his 81, and it's just significantly cheaper than what a 4BT is. You might get more bang for your buck out of the 4BT immediately, but a TDI can be tuned to match it, and it's lighter. So
yeah. Fast lane. When are you posting another 4x4 Toyota 4x4 video?
Good question.
Yeah. I do a lot of stuff, and half the time I have videos of other things, and I just don't post them because I keep doing Toyota stuff. So I get I was telling Clinton about this. The start of the year, January, is like a very tough month for anyone trying to even be part-time on YouTube. So the revenue is about half. So a lot of times I'll just post videos that I just have not had a chance to post yet for the first month. But
like putting reverse in your Sea-Doo.
I mix in a little bit of Toyota here and there. But the other issue is well, I can't say this because you're in Canada working in the snow, but it's cold right now. And
all
right, let's hear it.
That sucks.
I was working outside today at my buddy's house when you called me, and I could barely use my fingers to answer my phone. All right.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, no, I do have some stuff on the horizon though. I'm going to restore that door panel from a previous video, and I bought some vinyl, and I'm going to try and restore a dash pad. That's going to be my one of my next big projects. So there's that on the horizon. But as far as any big wrenching goes, nothing's anytime soon until it gets warmer. Maybe I'll do a cold start video on my 87 with the one with the broken frame. It's been about since July, I think, July or August since I started it up. So it's due for a start.
Yeah, mine hasn't started in like 2 months now too.
Yeah. Let's see. But no, the Toyota videos, they're always going to come, but I do mix in other stuff here and there because I get my hands in everything. So let's see. What's one thing you have changed? Like upgrade engine, brakes, axles. You know what? I am actually a better heater. Okay. Well, I'm going to leave this one to you, Clinton, seeing as you are a professional
But I ran the solid axles all the way up to 95.
Yeah.
That's what they should have done in the earlier Toyotas. But you know what? That also is for such a niche market, like guys like me,
Yeah,
that
that's
not
true.
everyone wants it.
Well, no, it was only North
So
America that got the IFS, so
I know it is.
they thought they knew us well, and we're not happy about it.
Well,
So
now we're not happy about it, but I think it worked for
at the
Toyota
time,
back
yeah.
then. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you had Nissan and what the S10; those were all IFS. The Ranger
Yeah, they were all IFS. They figured that's what the American crowd wanted, and they're probably right.
at the time, yeah.
At the time, yeah.
Let's see, Caden T. Yeah, if you want to send me pictures, um, let's see. Let me type. I'll just type in my email here. This is only for. Don't be sending me anything dirty, you guys. All
Anyways, I
right.
think we'll run this for another 5 minutes, and then I need to fly. So if you guys got any more questions, make sure you throw them at us too.
Yes. 22RE a little faster by chance. Hmm. Hmm. Well,
LCE sells some power parts.
what's that?
Whether I said
Oh,
LCE Performance sells some power parts, but whether it's worth actually doing for their price, probably not.
yeah. There's LCE. There's 22RE Performance. I mean, you can buy built heads for these things, but like
Yeah.
Clinton said, when you're talking about getting the most out of your dollar, it's not at all a good idea to try and make it a 22RE fast.
If you like the 4 cylinders, the 3RZ swap is pretty straightforward in those, and they're really great motors too, and they make a lot more power than the little 22RE as well. But
Let's see, Jay Styles, looking for a high amperage alternator upgrade on a 22RE. That I don't know, but I'm sure there's another. Do you have any experience with that
uh,
one?
personally, no, I've never felt the need for it, but I've seen guys online run GM one-wire alternators.
Okay.
Seems to be a pretty popular upgrade for those, but something to look into. I couldn't tell you any more information than that.
Yeah. Back to the question, Goose Anonymous. I would have changed the design of the 84 to 88 beds. That's it, man. Other than that, that's a perfect truck. But that bed that makes it very difficult to own a nice second gen pickup.
Yeah. Also, if they use gear-driven transfer cases and everything, that would have been great.
That'd be cool too. Yeah.
The ones behind the turbo 22REs would be ideal because they got the 23 spine, made it to the R150.
Yeah. Now listen to Clinton's advice because I hope you are on his channel watching his videos. He torture tests pretty much everything he builds. I mean, he does a lot of hard wheeling up there in the mountains. So
Yes, sir.
a lot of snow wheeling too.
Yes, I love snow wheeling. I miss snow wheeling. That's the worst part about my truck being down right now. I really want to get out in the snow, but I can't.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, you've got like kind of all the terrain up there. You know, you've got
Oh yeah,
everything.
rocks. We got mountains. We got mud. We got whatever. We don't really got sand dunes, but that's not really what I'm into, so it's all good.
Right? Yeah, I took my truck to sand dunes once, and it's just like you gotta have power, you gotta have RPM. My 22R was just
Not for the 22R.
not having it.
Oh.
It was struggling. Ohio was pretty much where I live up in northern Ohio is flat for the most part.
Yeah.
But you go down to southern Ohio, southwest Ohio, or sorry, southeast Ohio, and you got a lot of hills, a lot of muddy trails, a lot of woods,
Mm.
but not a huge. We don't have a lot of rock or anything like that.
Yeah. So somebody asked, how difficult is it to put the 4.7 transfer case gears in?
This is all you.
You don't have any experience at this? Okay, well,
Not yet.
it's not difficult, but there's a whole lot of little tiny parts that you need to pay attention to. But if you read the instructions, it's super straightforward, super easy to do. I'm probably the wrong person to ask about this because I'm so experienced with Toyota stuff that I don't find anything too difficult or tedious anymore. But if you're good at following instructions, the instructions are really easy to follow. You need to modify the housing to actually clear the 4.7 gear, and the shift fork needs to be modified as well. But
There you have it.
hopefully that helps. I don't find it too difficult. There's instructions; they're easy to follow. You got it.
Let's see. KMT, custom drain holes. That's actually a good idea. The frame has drain holes from the factory, but they're about maybe 1/8 inch, maybe a tiny bit bigger in diameter. And the problem is once you get debris in there, it clogs
They
up.
can't drink.
Yeah. So I would actually, this is what I'm going to do when I finally get around to fixing my frame. I'm going to go in there with like a 1/4 inch drill bit and enlarge all those holes a little bit. And
Yeah.
they're in pretty good spots from the factory, right before the arch in the back where the spring is. So I mean, I guess you could put additional holes, but the ones there are pretty well placed. They're just too small.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here we go. All right, got a Land Cruiser question. One HDT powered HEJ 81 in the state. So that's the turbo diesel Land Cruiser for the rest of you. You have it in the States. Your family thinks you're crazy. Well, I clearly think you're my hero because you've got like the best possible drivetrain in the Land Cruiser. You know, you've got the power and you've got the mileage. The gas ones, I like it because you can get parts readily, available at most places online. But the
Mm-hmm.
mileage is a killer. It's about 12 miles per gallon.
I know nothing about Land Cruisers or 80 series, but I want one.
That was how I was about a year ago. I started looking at them, and I don't know much, but I'm learning as I go. They're fun
Mm-hmm.
vehicles.
So
Triple
somebody
locked.
asked when I
Jealous.
started working on Toyotas. So my current truck, my 1989 Toyota pickup, is the first truck that I got and actually worked on myself. And the first major thing I did to it would have been the 3/4 swap, and that was in 2016, I believe. So yeah, about then. There's a couple minor things before that. I think maybe a CV axle or whatever, but I don't know. Somewhere around 2016 is when I started, so I've got a few years of experience now.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we're up to 20 viewers now, and I think some of you guys are coming in around 9 o'clock. That was the original time. We had to bump it back an hour today. So Clinton's
Mm-hmm.
got to run here in a few minutes. I'll hang out for a little while just to say hey and answer any questions I can. But that's why we're early today. Next week and the weeks after, we're going to be back at 9 o'clock. So sorry for the last minute change, but it was the best we could do here.
That's my fault. Yeah.
But hey, at
Speaking of
least
which,
you got to
I
run.
gotta roll.
All right, I know you got some
I
plans, so
heard my wife just start the car, so.
all right, get going, man.
All right. Have a good one, guys. See you later. And yeah,
All
enjoy the
right,
rest of the stream.
yep, we'll see you next week on your channel.
Sounds great.
Have a good one. So, yeah, sorry about the last minute time change, but that's what we had to do today to make it work. So next week we'll be back to 9 o'clock Eastern time, and we're alternating the show. So next week we'll be on Dirt Garage, and then we'll be back on my channel the week after that. Fridge and a factory rim. Yeah, I got the fridge on mine too in the center console. That's a pretty cool option. I haven't really needed it yet. I know a couple times I bought like ice cream and I put it on the ice maker mode and it kept my ice cream cold driving home from the store. But as far as like being out like in the trail or the desert all day, I haven't just been like, man, I need a cold one and been able to use that for anything yet. But it is cool just for the fact that people get in my car. They're like, what? What's this cool and this ice button? And you tell them, and it's just like their mind's blown. You got a fridge in this thing? The winch is awesome though. Factory winch too. That's a nicely equipped 80 series you got there. Do I have any Toyota 4x4 merchandise? Yeah, I do. My channel's not big enough where I can like make it directly and stock it directly. So I have a number of shirts and things made, and I will get you that link here. I'll post it down below. Let's see, 6 Gear Garage. All the shirt designs are through Redbubble and just kind of like a print-on-demand thing. And I will paste this down here. There's a link for the store. Let's see. Yep, no problem, man. Thanks for anyone who buys merchandise. I know it's not like, you know, I don't make much on it, but every little bit helps because I feel bad just taking like Patreon donations and stuff like that. I know I'm not talking down on any channel who does that, but it's kind of like just you guys watching and sitting through an ad here or there or buying a shirt is just like awesome to me, you know? It just means a lot. Plus, it's cool that my design that I drew is out there, somebody's wearing it, so that's kind of rewarding in its own. Jealous of the garage. Thanks, man. Yeah, I don't know if you mean the house garage or the pole barn that I built this year, or had built this year. The pole barn is kind of like in hibernation mode. Everything's just kind of parked in there for winter. There's no electricity, no lighting, no heat, no insulation, no nothing. So once down the road, when I get that finished up, I'll be able to do some projects in there. So the house garage isn't heated either, though, and that's what I was telling Clinton. I just haven't been out there much, man. I'm not a fan of the cold. I'm actually I'm from the South, from Texas, and I lived in Arkansas for a while. So up here in Ohio, when it's like below 40, it's just not ideal wrenching weather for me. And then Clinton's like, he did the Fahrenheit to Celsius conversion, and he's like, man, that's not even below freezing. And he's out there doing engine swaps in like a foot of snow. So kudos to him. Yeah, see, any other center consoles that fit an 85 pickup without much modification? Without much modification, no. I've seen people put other stuff in there though. Aftermarket ones, I've seen some made for Jeeps that I've seen in there, like metal ones, and they have like a key lock on it. But as far as anything that directly swaps in, you could do a 4Runner. But this is where it gets tricky. Different 4Runners and pickups, they have the shifter opening in different positions. So some may not be compatible. I don't know a whole lot about that. I have a center console from a 4Runner, but I don't have the shifter surround part for it yet. So I can't really test fit it and see what'll work. But yeah, I'm with you, man. Finding a center console that's nice is getting pretty tough to do. Let's see, any other questions here? I'm considering. I am always considering buying another Toyota. Well, now I'm allowed. I wasn't allowed for a while because I had 4 trucks at once, and they were all over the driveway. And I don't live in like a fancy, snooty neighborhood or anything, but I was that guy. You know, had 3 rusted out trucks in my driveway. But now that I have the pole barn built, I can stuff them in there. And I'm looking for a Toyota right now. I'm looking for a first gen 4Runner. I've been looking for a while. There's like no nice ones around here. If you want a nice one, you're paying just about 5 figures now for a really nice one. So I'm looking for something I can fix up and restore, and of course document and share on the channel. That's my goal. So maybe that'll happen this year. You know, I just haven't found the right 4Runner yet. It's either been like too far gone, which is the usual case, or just, you know, red interior. I'm sorry guys if you have red interior, but I hate the red interiors on those trucks. But I'll find the right one eventually. I'll even swap interiors if I have to. I'll make it gray or tan. And I did find someone local has an 80 pickup, a 1980 two-wheel drive long bed. And it's the frame's good, the motor's good, but the body is so rusty on it. But I'm actually considering taking a look at that just to have it. It's pretty cheap. Best off-roading modification. Aside from off-road tires and a lift to allow bigger tires, lockers. Lockers are going to get you pretty much anywhere off-road, coupled with a lift and bigger tires. Do I have double center console in brown or any brown stuff? Need a lot of stuff. Like I said, I have 2 center consoles. One is completely destroyed. It's wasted pretty much. The armrest is broken on it. It looks like it's been through like a sandblaster. The other one is mint, but I don't have the front part for it. So I'm trying to find that to even figure out if it'll work in a pickup because it's from a 4Runner. It has the extra buttons and stuff on it. Let's see. Oh, you said double center console. Do you mean a double DIN? Because the double DIN faceplates around the radio surround, those are pretty easy to come by. I see those on eBay a lot. Let's see. Recommend upgrading to a 94 4Runner brakes. Absolutely. The 94 4Runner calipers are they're so beefy. In fact, I can even pull up a picture. I've got that on my truck here. Let me pull up a picture, and you'll see these things, and you'll be impressed. Where is it? By the way, if you're just getting here, Clinton had to jump off. We came on a little bit earlier tonight than planned because he had a prior engagement. But next week we will be back at the regular time of 9 o'clock. And I am looking. Here it is. Yes. All right. I'm going to send you over to my second screen here since Clinton's gone. Let's see here. How do I do this? So hope that made sense. Yeah, sorry, Specs. A little bit late this week, but we'll be back. We'll be back at the regular time next week here. Okay, looks like I might have had no audio when I switched over to show the picture of my brakes. So I apologize for that. We're learning the ins and outs of this here. I should be back now. Let me know if I'm not. Fastlane. No, I'm not going to sell the center console. It's a keeper. Okay, yeah, that's what it was. So I'll have to figure out why that happened. We're still learning this as we go here. Shocks for 99 Tacoma. Again, this is out of my range. This is more, the later stuff is more Clinton's expertise. With a 7-inch, that's a big lift, 7-inch lift. Yeah. Sorry, Chase, I don't have an answer for you on that. Full door panels in brown. I might have one set from an SR5, but again, I know you guys are gonna hate me because I hoard these parts. I hang on to them because they are getting so hard to find. And with all the trucks I get, there's gonna be one truck that'll use these parts. I'm pretty sure though, I saw a company that makes aftermarket door panels, but they were only available in black. I can't think of where I saw it, but I'm pretty sure I saw it online somewhere. And they're not like cloth. Yeah, I think they were just plastic, so they may be kind of cheap. But that could be something to use as a base to recover or make your own, whether it be vinyl or carpet or painting. At least there's some company that's starting to actually get into making interior parts for the truck. Now, if we can just get somebody to make a dash pad, right? But, like I said, I was telling you guys earlier, one of my projects for the near future here is to restore a dash pad using vinyl. I went to Joann Fabrics and I bought myself some vinyl, and we'll see how it goes. It'll be my first time ever messing with that stuff. Let's see. How many RPMs are you running with the 529s? That's a good question, Tom Jones. I don't know my exact RPMs at 70 because my truck has no tach, so I can't give you that info. I will say, though, that my speedometer is pretty much dead on, but I don't know the RPMs. Waterproofing the distributor cap. I have never done that. I think there is a little rubber gasket sort of thing on the back of the plastic cap. Um, I think that would do it as far as keeping it. I mean, unless you're like submerging, which you're going to have problems anyways, but I think that should do it. And they also have, I don't know if yours might not have anymore, but all the 4x4s I've seen originally had a like black rubber sort of boot over the distributor, and that at least keeps the ends of the plug wires clean and sort of dry if you just get a good splash of water. But that won't prevent anything should you submerge it. Let's see. Mini truck junkyard in SoCal. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. You guys out there in California, West Coast, even like up by Oregon, Washington State, you know, that is a gold mine for Toyota parts. You're at the advantage. If you're up here, Ohio, East Coast, they're pretty thin. SR5 clusters. I do. I have some, and I don't know if they're any good. I pulled them all, and I did try putting them into my red 4x4 87, which had a cluster with a tack in it, and they were very. Some parts of them didn't work. Like on some, the oil pressure wouldn't work. On some, the tack wouldn't work. So there's going to be. I'm gonna have to figure out the pinning of the wiring harness and probably figure out what's what in order to make these work in another truck. I don't know what all of them were from though. If they were from a V6 or a four-cylinder. One I think was from a turbo truck, so I imagine that's different. The goal was to put one into my 85. You know, add the different oil sending unit. Otherwise, you'll blow out the oil sending gauge. The resistor inside will blow. So you gotta change that first, and then you just run a wire for the tack, and that comes from over by the igniter. There's actually a plug right there, and then it's pretty much ready to go in. But apparently, there's going to be different wiring depending on the year, so you may have to pull some pins and swap some wires around. Let's see. Made my own dash pad. Nice. I like to see that actually. See the dash pad. I will be making a video of the dash restoration. Yes, I just bought the vinyl for it this past weekend. ARB air lockers. I am happy with mine. I've got one on the rear of my truck. It's never given me any problems. It's great for something you're going to daily drive. That way you're not locked all the time you're driving. You just get off road, flip the compressor on, and you're locked. You know, push the button and you're ready to go. And then same thing when you get back onto dry pavement. Yeah, I've got the ARB in the rear, and in the front I've got an Aussie locker, which is a full-time locker, which is a good setup on a budget because you're not really in four-wheel drive with those hubs locked unless you're off-road. So that's kind of what makes my truck still very drivable on-road, yet capable in the mud. Caribou cup holder, yes, yeah. What's his Instagram handle? Caribou Yoda, I believe. Yeah, if you guys need cup holders, check out Caribou Yoda. I'm gonna make sure that's him. And he custom makes these, and they replace the ashtray, and they're made out of metal, really heavy duty, really nice. Let's see, I'll give him a plug here. See if I can find him. Where is he? Or if anybody else knows his handle, go ahead and feel free to type it in there. You can probably find it before I can. Yeah, it's Caribou, CARIBOU _ Yoda. I'll just type it right here. CARIBOU you, Caribou Yoda on Instagram. Yeah, he makes a really, really nice cup holder. Yeah, I saw that. He started making the double one. Yeah. I Hate Mud is excellent. That's I've been on there for a long time. When I first bought my truck, and then since I bought my Land Cruiser, they've got a huge Land Cruiser community on there too. So I've been spending a lot of time on there, learning a whole lot. That's probably the best Toyota forum, I think, that I could recommend. Let's see what else we got. I'm actually going to shut it down here in a little bit. Just for anyone that's now come in, we are up to 24 viewers. We had to start an hour early today. Clinton had a prior engagement, so normal time will be 9 p.m. Next week we're going to do it on his channel, and that's 9 p.m. Eastern time. But and it will probably go from 9 to 9:30 on a normal day. I'm just kind of carrying us out kind of late since some people probably did think that we were still going at 9 o'clock. Unfortunately, I didn't get the time change until earlier today. Let's see, that's about it. Any last questions before I wrap this up? Just want to thank you guys for stopping in on the first successful show. Now that we got the microphones kind of worked out. Yeah, thanks. And like I said before, I work on a lot of stuff. The Toyota stuff is my favorite. But if there's pretty much anything I do, if it's something that I know can help other people, I'll document it and share it. Like I think I uploaded adding reverse to a jet ski last week. So people out there are going to want to know that stuff. So I'm glad to share it. But I'm always going to have mostly Toyota content, especially now that I sold my Acura. So that's kind of out of the picture. Now I've got the Land Cruiser, the 85 Toyota, and I've got my 87 with the broken in half frame. Those are my three vehicles right now. Oh, and the Mustang, which, I don't do much on that because nobody watches the Mustang videos. I guess there's just enough out there. I don't know. So it just kind of sits in the corner and doesn't get attention. I have an account where I sell some stuff. Like an account where I sell parts. Yeah, I've got a eBay store. I can put that link up too. But when are you doing the axle rebuild on your 85? I'm thinking maybe this summer. It's not that bad yet. It's slowly leaking. And after doing it on my Land Cruiser, it's going to be pretty easy to do. I'm not even going to have to replace the burr fields. They're not clicking or anything. So it should be a pretty fast job. Let's see. But if you're looking on how to do it, I do have a video on a front knuckle rebuild and burr field replacement on my 80 series Land Cruiser. And that's going to be pretty much the same as a Toyota pickup, with the exception of, I'm trying to think what's different. The steering is different. The stock steering on 85 is a little bit different. And it's going to be the push-pull steering. And that's the biggest difference. I don't even have ABS on my Land Cruiser, so that'll be the same. Oh, here we go. 85 extra cab. Windows are coming off the bottom track when I roll it down. Any suggestions? Okay, if you take apart the door, I've got a few different door videos. One I think I just posted a couple weeks back. If you take apart the door, that the bottom of the glass window it's glued into this metal sort of brace, and that has two bolts that attach the regulator. So depending on where your window is slipping out, it may just be that adhesive between the glass and the metal bracket has just degraded over time. I know a lot of the windows that I've seen, it's like a black sealant. It just gets dry and brittle and cracks. So it may just be that you need to clean that out and put some new sealant in. And for the sealant, you probably use like a urethane, like a window well type thing that they use to install windshields on older cars. That's my best guess. I mean, you might want to research, but that's what comes to mind, just because it's this black, dry as hard as a rock stuff. Yeah, BH3D also printing cup holders for Toyotas. Yep, yeah, they're big in the Land Cruiser community. They go on the center console. That's another thing. Toyota just not like cup holders. They'll give you like awesome drivetrain, awesome axles, bulletproof motors, but they don't give you cup holders. In the Land Cruiser is the exact same way. There is one cup holder, but it's square and it's very shallow, so anything that you put in it just falls over. All for Wheels, yes. Upon your recommendation, I did order a can of the spray away. And I also went to Hobby Lobby first to look at their vinyl, and they had like 4 colors. Nothing that matched my truck or my dash. I had a gray dash. So then I went to Jo-Ann Fabrics, and they had something that was just about perfect. But it's marine vinyl, and it's really, really thick. They had another type of vinyl that was for like furniture, like interior, like home stuff. And it was really thin and stretchy, but they didn't have it in gray. So I got the marine vinyl. It's really thick. It's got like this fabric on the back almost. And I did a test where I heated it up, and it does get kind of stretchy. Radiator for a 22RE. I've got a few of those, yeah. The only problem is I'd have to find a box to ship it in. If you're a local, I'd say come over, but I don't know if you're in Ohio or not. But yeah, I've got some OEM radiators. All right, just catching up on questions here. I think I got everybody. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. Trying to make sure I get everybody's questions answered. This is actually a good turnout. Yours had the fabric on the back too. Okay, good. It makes me feel better. Fastly, you're in California. All right, it's going to be probably expensive to ship a radiator out that way. The radiator, I just have them stacked up in my garage. Actually, I don't have them for sale anywhere. They're the original. What are they? Bronze radiators. So they're the old Toyota ones. Some of them are like kind of crappy. The fins are starting to fall off, but there's probably 1 or 2 decent ones out there. That's what I was going to say. If you were local, just come over and give me a 6-pack of beer and take one. But yeah, I'd have to find a nice heavy-duty box to ship that. Yeah, it's something really heavy-duty. Might even be copper. I don't know, but it's something. I know if you scrape off the black paint, it's like a gold color underneath. So that makes me think it's like copper or brass or something. I don't know. Something old school, not like the aluminum stuff that you get nowadays. And an interesting point about that is that's why it's so important to use the proper coolant in these engines instead of just don't ever use just straight water, because you got your copper or brass, whatever it is, your radiator, you got your iron block and your aluminum head. So it's very important to use the correct Toyota coolant, otherwise you'll get corrosion buildup inside. You run a 3-score on your red truck, don't you? Oh, 3-core, sorry. On my red truck, that has actually an aftermarket radiator. It's just a stock replacement. Mine broke, and I just had to run to, I think it was AutoZone, and just buy what they had in stock. So nothing fancy. Nothing fancy, and it's not really needed. It doesn't run hot. Yeah, the Toyota red coolant, that's what I always recommend, especially if it's listed somewhere on the vehicle, on the engine. I know a lot of the newer stuff they do. On my truck, I'll run the green coolant, but on my Land Cruiser, I definitely run the red coolant especially because those cooling systems are very complex. You've got the whole separate rear heater and the rear lines going to that, and all those metal lines are a nightmare to replace behind that straight 6 engine. HD Joe, you know what I'm talking about. Oh, no, you got the diesel. I don't know how bad the diesels are, but I know the gas engines are a pain. They got this tiny, it's about maybe a 2-inch rubber coolant hose going from the firewall to the engine, and there's no way to get to it that's easy unless you have like the head pulled off the engine. It's called the pesky heater hose. That's what they call it in the Land Cruiser community. So I don't mess around with coolant when it comes to the Land Cruiser. I buy the good stuff. Valvoline red Toyota. Yeah. If you get it from like a regular parts store, it'll say for Toyota on it, and that's how a lot of stuff is nowadays. Even like auto trans fluid, a lot of times it'll say for Toyota on it. They make it easy for you. All right, well, we're approaching 9:23 here. If you're just coming on, we had to switch it to an hour early today because Clinton had a prior engagement. So he jumped off at 9. We started a little after 8 o'clock. We'll be back to the regular 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for the next show next Tuesday, and that will be on Dirt Garage. So if you aren't subscribed to Dirt Garage, which you should be, subscribe and look out for the next show, the next live stream on his channel. And it's a good channel. He and I are kind of like, we're both Toyota guys, but he is more on the third generation V6, V8, hardcore off-roading, snow wheeling, you know, putting in parts to the test kind of guy. And here I am second gen, 4-cylinder, more on the restoration, preservation side. So I think this show is something we're going to do more often because the first one, really, we've already got over 25, almost 30 viewers. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and we'll save this. I have it available on my channel if anybody wants to go back and go over anything we talked about, but we should have got all the questions answered. Let's see. Okay, when do you think you are posting another Toyota video? Tomorrow. Actually, I've got one lined up for Thursday. I try and post on Thursdays, do once a week. And this one's going to be the story of how I got my restoration done on my 85 for free. It's a bit of a story, not really technical, but it does go over kind of like what I used to do, and I talk about some previous SEMA vehicles that I worked on through my old job, and then how that led to me getting the full free restoration. It literally didn't cost me a dime. And I was actually paid salary to work on my own truck. It was like a dream come true. So I'll post that story up on Thursday. A little bit different of a video than normal, but I at least want to be able to entertain you guys with something until I get the next Toyota tech video out. A periodic subscriber truck review would be cool. That's a good idea. Evan Sanders, I like that idea. I should set something up like that. You know, once I get into this software, it'd be cool to find a way to, you know, integrate and get you guys more involved where I could see like a picture or something like that. There's got to be a way to do it, especially since I can go over to another screen where I can have people emailing me pictures and talk about it that way. Although when I did jump over to my other screen with my brake picture on it, my voice cut out. So we got a little bit of technical things to figure out yet, but we'll get there. This show's only going to get better and better. So I appreciate you guys for coming in and sticking around, especially after that first week, which was a total disaster where Clinton's mic wasn't coming through. So it's always good to see you guys supporting our channels and watching what we do. So that's it. I'm going to sign off. Thank you all, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Keep an eye on Dirt Garage for the next live show.